As today, Nike. Oh my God.
Today, Nike. Oh my God. Did you hear what Nike just did? They just pulled off one of the biggest blunders in sports marketing history, and it wasn't even on the field. It all started with Caitlin Clark's Super Bowl commercial, the one everyone was talking about, where she seemed like she was going to be the new face of Nike. But then, it gets wild. The very next day, Nike drops another ad, and guess who's completely absent?
Folks, sometimes it's just unbelievable. I don't even know. I'm speechless. I am speechless with what has been thrown across my desk this morning.
Caitlin Clark. That's right, they erased her like she never existed. Unbelievable. Naturally, the internet went nuts, and now Nike is scrambling to fix this mess. But wait till you hear how they tried to cover it up. It's so bad, you'll think it's a joke. Seriously, folks, it's unbelievable. So, let's talk about what happened after Caitlin Clark's Super Bowl moment.
In typical Caitlin Clark fashion, Caitlin Clark's Voldemort. They can't say Voldemort's name. Cheryl Swoops can't say Caitlin Clark's.
Nike dropped this huge ad during the Super Bowl, and people were going crazy about it. Everyone thought Clark was going to be the next big thing for Nike. Fans, athletes, even Travis Kelce was shouting her out.
So Caitlin Clark had her Nike commercial, and well, she didn't have her Nike commercial. She had one Nike commercial, and then the other one, they went out of her way not to talk about her. They did. They went out of their way to not talk about Caitlin Clark.
It looked like Nike was on top of the world. But then, the next day, Nike drops another commercial. You'd expect.
Like, they had a commercial they released where they mentioned Juju Watkins, they mentioned Sabrina, they mentioned all the athletes that were on the t-shirt other than Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers.
Them to keep that Caitlin Clark hype train rolling, right? But nope. They didn't just miss the wave. They acted like the ocean didn't even exist. They completely erased Caitlin Clark from their second ad. It's like she vanished into thin air. Can you imagine? The hottest name in women's basketball, and Nike acts like she's invisible. It's mind-blowing. You might think it was just an oversight or a mistake, right? But here's where it gets even crazier. Every single athlete from the original commercial got a shout-out in the follow-up ad, except Caitlin Clark. They mentioned Juju Watkins, Sabrina, and all the other athletes, but no Caitlin Clark. Fans were outraged, and social media exploded. One person commented, "You make an ad and mention everyone except Caitlin Clark? She's the reason for all the hype." Another one said, "Nike, why wasn't Caitlin Clark's name even mentioned?" Then there was another ad released the next day, hyping up those Nike signature t-shirts. They showcased every athlete from the first commercial except Caitlin Clark. And it wasn't just the fans who were confused. Industry experts were shocked. They were all saying, Clark is the most marketable athlete in women's sports right now. How could they mess this up? Nike had gold in their hands, and they threw it away like it was nothing.
Somebody said, so you make an ad and you mention everyone except Caitlin Clark. She is the reason for all of the hype. Show the respect she deserves. Can't wait for CC to go to another brand that will respect her. Your history is bookmarked.
People were stunned. It was like Nike had put all their chips on Caitlin Clark becoming the face of the brand, and then just pulled the rug out from under her. And even the experts were calling them out. They were like, Nike, you had the chance to elevate her, and you let it slip. But here's where it gets really embarrassing. Nike, in full panic mode, tried to fix their mistake by releasing a so-called director's cut of the ad.
All right, Ego. They say, hey, Ego, can you just send us a couple lines? Can you just send us a couple lines? Voicemail, email, voice note, memo note, whatever the case may be. Just send us a couple lines and we'll throw the voiceover in of you saying Caitlin Clark, and everybody will be happy, right? Everybody will be happy, right?
They decided to throw in a voiceover mentioning Caitlin Clark. Sounds simple, right? Well, they didn't even bother to make it look natural. It was like one of those old kung fu movies where the voiceover doesn't match the actor's lips at all. It was awkward and forced.
I mean, at the end of the day, everybody cheered because we had a little Caitlin Clark cameo on a commercial, so this should be enough. So this is what they ended up doing with Caitlin Clark.
And fans immediately called it out. Imagine this. The original ad had Caitlin Clark in it.
Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want a tee. Nike. I was born that night. I was. I woke up today. I saw this. I checked my birth certificate just to make sure. Yeah, I was born at night. Not last night, Nike. Not last night.
But in this new version, her name is awkwardly inserted via voiceover. Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want a t-shirt. Nike.com.
Is this, folks? They had her send in a voice memo. They had her watch this.
You want to know what I'm selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want a tee.
Okay.
Nike.com.
This is ridiculous.
It was so out of place. It felt like they didn't even try to make it look real. Of course, fans saw right through it.
Listen, they voice over it.
Selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark.
She's not.
I know you want a tee.
Okay. She's not even talking. Like she's silent, and two, it's a voiceover.
Selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want a tee.
Okay. So someone edited that in post-production.
Comments flooded in like, did they make her send a voice memo? And this is embarrassing.
They put a voiceover. They made her send them through voicemail with the Caitlin Clark parts to appease us. Like, that's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious.
It was like Nike thought they could fix the mistake with some cheap editing, but it was obvious that this was a desperate attempt to cover their tracks. And here's the kicker. This wasn't just about a bad edit job. It was a massive failure in crisis management.
Freaking egos over here walking in the middle of New York City sending a voice note. Caitlin Clark, Rookie of the Year. I know you want a tee. Oh man, this is disastrous. This is disastrous again.
They could have owned up to the mistake and apologized. Instead, they went for the corporate equivalent of, the dog ate my homework. They slapped a voiceover on a commercial, hoping no one would notice. But everyone noticed, and it made the situation worse.
Folks, we have footage of her saying nearly every word in the other commercial. Yet in this commercial, we just have her going, you can't make this up. The WNBA writes themselves. The WNBA nonsense writes itself. Nike writes itself. These people just can't get out of its own way. It's funny to watch.
Marketing experts didn't hold back either. They were all saying that Nike's response was a huge misstep.
More its name. So, of course, there's the backlash. Like, oh man, Nike, here we go again. You guys just can't get out of your own way.
In crisis PR, rule number 1 is own it. Don't try to cover it up. Nike's attempt at damage control was more like a bad school project. Rushed, sloppy, and completely unconvincing.
At the end of the day, Nike is Nike, folks. Nike is Nike. Oh, but they put a poster in Angel Reese territory. Angel Reese isn't a Nike athlete. This would mean a little bit something if it was a Nike athlete running down on a Nike athlete in her own territory. Then we got some. This is Nike claiming real estate that they've already claimed. Who else would they be putting on this poster? Asia Wilson?
And remember, this is Nike we're talking about. The company that has given us some of the most iconic sports ads ever. But now it was like they couldn't even get a simple commercial right. They took a small mistake and turned it into a full-blown disaster. So, what happens next?
Yeah, it is. It's just so funny. Nike's just fumbling of Caitlin Clark. Like, this wouldn't, by the way, like, I wouldn't have that much of it. I wouldn't be complaining that much about this if it wasn't for the fact that, like, Nike are out there basically saying that one of the big reasons why they're failing is because of a lack of their signature.
Will Caitlin Clark stick with Nike? Or will she move on to a brand that knows how to treat her like the superstar she is?
because of a lack of their signature line, they are failing. Like LeBron's aren't selling as much. All of these like signature lines are not selling enough. And you've got one signature line that you know for a fact is going to sell a absolute shitload, and you don't.
This whole fiasco has opened up a lot of questions.
But when Nike just keep doing with Caitlin Clark, it just doesn't stop. Like they're fumbling it so badly. Like I think there is a huge regret. Again, the only positive is they're releasing the Caitlin Clark P's, the Indiana Fever Kobe 5s.
And experts are already saying this could seriously hurt Nike's reputation in women's sports marketing.
So, like, if I was her, like, her agent did such a poor job with this Nike deal. And at this stage, you can't even blame Nike. They were tied down for 8 years. They're in no rush. They ever tied down to whatever freaking awful contract they want to go and give. But at the same time, like, it's not ideal. It's not an ideal situation, like, overall.
Nike has some serious damage control too.
Somebody said they put her in the director's cut. Bro, you can't make this ish up. No, that wasn't no director cut. That was a voiceover from the heat that they was receiving online for people like me and other content creators calling them out, and even y'all on Twitter calling them out for leaving Caitlin Clark out of this damn commercial.
Caitlin Clark is not just the face of women's basketball. She's the face of women's sports. And Nike had her, but they didn't give her the respect she deserves.
The face of women's sports, period. When we have her on our roster, let's throw her some credit and toss her a bone, shall we? Nike chooses not to even do that.
Fans and experts alike are all saying the same thing. Nike blew it, and now there's even talk that Caitlin Clark might consider partnering with a brand that actually understands how to market women's sports. Imagine the shockwaves if she jumps ship. This could be a game changer, and Nike might end up paying the price for their careless handling of one of the brightest stars in sports. It's not just about a botched commercial anymore. It's about recognition, respect, and the future of women's sports marketing. Nike might have fumbled the ball, but another brand is probably ready to score big.